today we're being joined by Collingwood AFLW player Grace Campbell. Grace, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
No worries. So tell us a bit about yourself. What got you into footy, and how your time's been in the AFLW so far, because you've been at a fair few clubs, which we'll get to shortly.
Yeah. So I started off footy when I was about 13 in Bendigo. Just first started playing some school footy, and then from there joined a local junior club, and then played my senior footy at Bendigo Thunder, and then transitioned to the Richmond VFL program. Through that, got picked up for AFL, and have been at North Melbourne and Collingwood since.
So obviously, as you mentioned, Richmond, and then obviously at North and Collingwood. How was the very first time to be on a Richmond AFLW list? How did you react to it, and how did the news get broken? Obviously, generally these days the rules are a bit different to the men's, where you get pre-selected signings as well.
Yeah, mine was a little bit of a different one. Like I said, I sort of played VFL with Richmond, and then through there was picked up as a priority pick prior to the draft. And that's how I managed to get on the AFL list at Richmond. But yeah, an incredible experience. You know, you work a lot of time to sort of get that dream come true. And so when it finally happens, it's, very exciting.
Do you remember your debut with Richmond and in your first game, and what was that day like compared to how you came out of it?
Yeah, it was a funny one. Like, it was long awaited. I had a fair few injuries, and so didn't play. I think it might have been round 6 or something, against Gold Coast, up in Gold Coast. So obviously it's always a little bit different when it's an away game, but most of my family managed to get up, so that was fantastic. But yeah, obviously just an incredible experience and a bit of relief just to finally get out on the park. And yeah, obviously learn a lot from that game, took a lot out of it, and yeah, still playing now, so that's great.
So then you transitioned at that point to then North Melbourne. How did that opportunity come about, and was it an easy move to make?
Yeah, so the opportunity just come about. They expressed some interest in me, and I was open to that opportunity. Met up with the list manager at the time, and yeah, had a coffee and got good vibes from there. So I thought, yeah, this is something that I wanted to definitely pursue. And yeah, very grateful for that opportunity. Again, learn a lot. But yeah, very happy to be at Collingwood at the moment.
And then you transition this season, last year now, to Collingwood. How did that opportunity come about, and how's your time been so far at Collingwood in the first year?
Yeah, time's been incredible. It's definitely been a very positive change. Yeah, it just come about, I felt like I probably needed a fresh start. I'd had a bit go on outside of footy, and I felt like I just needed an opportunity to, just reset and start again. I was kind of wondering whether footy was still something that I wanted to do. I knew that, I was capable of still playing, but it was just, whether or not North Melbourne was the right fit at the time. So, when I got in contact with Collingwood and the opportunity come about, I was very grateful for that.
Also, then this year playing every game with the Pies in your first season, they must be pretty happy with that, and seem to be enjoying yourself. Although the team just missed out on finals, but having a good opportunity to mingle with new people.
Yeah, totally. I think for me personally, just to get 10 consecutive games under my belt was incredible. Obviously, coming back from the ACL injury this year, just a goal was just to sort of get through the season unscathed. So to have that happen was great. And yeah, as a collective, we probably didn't have the success that we, wanted / thought we would have. But yeah, we obviously learn a lot from that, and we'll look to go again this year. And we've recruited a lot of strong players that I think will help assist us to go that little bit further. So yeah, very much looking forward to getting stuck into it again.
Now, if your teammates were to describe you in a couple of words or a sentence, how would they best describe you as?
Bit crazy. They say that I'm very dramatic, which I don't agree with. But yeah, a bit crazy. But we all need a bit of crazy in our team, don't we?
For sure, absolutely. Would you consider yourself a club comedian? Because obviously a lot of the social posts and everything, it's been a roaming Brian style of Michael work that you've done as well for the club. Are you enjoying that clearly?
Yeah, I love that sort of stuff. It's always nice to show a bit of your personality, because obviously footy can be quite serious at times. So it's always nice to show that side to people. But yeah, I love that sort of stuff, and I think it gives the girls a laugh. So that's the main thing.
For sure. Now, obviously you definitely would recall your Collingwood first goal. How would you compare that to your AFLW first goal compared to each other? Obviously, you had a few at North and then obviously 2 at Collingwood so far.
Yeah, I think the first one for North Melbourne was maybe against Melbourne. And that was obviously like special, nice, but I just feel like, enjoying my time so much at Collingwood, and just to be able to do it with this bunch of girls was great. And it was nice, like very much enjoyable.
Now, you had the good opportunity, I suppose, to have 3 debuts at 3 separate clubs. What debut would you say is the best? Would it be your very first game, in that case at Richmond, or would it be one of the other 2?
To be honest, I feel like it's the Collingwood one, because I feel like the Richmond and North Melbourne one, again, I've come in off the background of injuries, and I feel like I've definitely nowhere near performing at where I thought I could perform. And Collingwood, again, still coming off an ACL injury. So that's a long-term injury. It takes you a while to find your feet. But I feel like that was probably the most like how I would like to be playing. So, I feel like that was probably the most memorable one.
Yeah, sure. There's obviously now you got a new coach in Sam Wright from North Melbourne. Have you had a chance to speak to Sam, and what do you think he'll bring to the club? Obviously, having Steve previously.
Yeah, I had just sent Righty a message. Very excited to have him on board. I was lucky enough to have him coach me in the forward at North Melbourne. So he's an incredible coach with incredible knowledge. And I think he'll just bring a set of fresh eyes to the club, which I think is always good. I very much appreciated and enjoyed my time under Steve. But looking forward to the new change.
Now, who would you say is the best chatterbox of the club? Obviously, some people may say you. Who would you say it is?
Not me. It's definitely Charlotte Taylor for sure.
She loves
she could seriously talk underwater. Seriously, that girl. But she's great. She definitely brings the vibes at the club. That's for sure.
That's good. So now, obviously, there was this story behind painting your nails each game. So explain to us a bit about that and what the go behind that was. It seemed to work.
Well, worked for a few games, didn't it? But then we didn't have much luck, so I thought, oh god, we've got to take those nail polish off immediately. But no, it just all started. I don't know. We were away. I think we were away in Brisbane, and you've got a lot of downtime. And so I was just kind of like bored, and I thought, oh, better go get my nails done. And a few of the other girls jumped on board, and then once we started winning, you can't change these sort of things. You've got to continue with them. But no, the club were great. We actually got nail techs into the club, and they did all the girls' nails. So it was quite the vibe.
Yeah, that's good. Who would you say is some of your favourite teammates of the Pies?
To be honest, they're all very, very good, and I just love being around them. But a few of my favourites would have to be Ruby Schleicher, Bree Davey, Emily Smith, Sarah Rowe, Charlotte Taylor. The list goes on, really. Yeah, they're an incredible bunch of girls.
Fair enough. That's a good choice. Obviously, you got some new players in the club through the draft and through the trade period. What expectations would you feel the club's got next year? You got a new coach and then some brand new draftees and top draftees, and then some traded in players as well. Yeah,
I feel like there's probably a reasonable expectation, and I felt like there probably was this year, and we didn't quite live up to that. But I think that's always nice when there's a reasonable expectation that you'll perform. Like, I think we'll thrive under that, and like I said, we're just very much looking forward to getting another opportunity at it, because nowhere near did we probably perform to where we'd hope we would perform. But like I said, hopefully with the new draftees and the girls that we picked up in the trade, we'll just close that gap which we had sort of in our areas that we needed to improve on from last year.
Sure. Which club did you grow up barracking for?
North Melbourne.
Okay, so now that you said they've been North, was it? Well, barracking for North, you obviously had the opportunity to play for the side you kind of grew up barracking for a few seasons. So obviously, I know you said you're loving your time at Collingwood and the move, but was it a bit harder than, say, moving from Richmond compared to the North Melbourne, seeing you barracked for them? Or not really?
No, not really, to be honest. I think, as I imagine most girls would do, you kind of, even if you've previously gone for a club, once you're surrounded by a club and you're in there every day and that sort of thing, and you can't help but kind of go for the team that you're playing for. So the transition was yeah, it wasn't too bad.
That's fair. So obviously now I'm sure you probably recollect this goal from Danielle Ponter at the start of the season, obviously from the centre square at Icon Park. Do you feel that you'd be able to replicate that type of goal, or feel any teammate would, or thinks they can but they really can't?
I certainly wouldn't be able to do that. If it was maybe more of a tackling sort of thing, I might be able to do that. But no, who do I reckon could bomb one from the centre? Probably like your Bree Davies of the world, those sort of people that just do incredible things. But yeah, we've got a few that probably would back themselves in, but whether that's the reality or not.
Very, very true. Any nicknames you're given at the club that you like or dislike?
I actually don't know if I've really got any nicknames. Like they call me Campbell and all those sorts of things, but they're fine. I'll take those ones. Yeah, I actually haven't managed to get a awkward nickname, which is great, really.
That's good. Just nice and basic, the way you want it.
Yeah, exactly.
Now I know obviously with Sam Riley just coming in, but has there been any previous coaches' pets that kind of sing towards the coach to kind of hope they get a game, or just in general just suck up to them in some form?
Oh, Sarah Rowe, she's always looking to suck up. And who else? Oh, it's probably just Rowie, really. Everyone else is pretty happy just to fly under the radar.
Steph, Sarah. Any outside of footy interests that you have?
Not really, to be honest. I just love all sorts of sports. So obviously at this time of the year, I've just been watching lots of tennis, watching a bit of cricket. But yeah, they're the main sort of things, just hanging out with my family and my two little cute dogs. And yeah, just enjoying some more time with the family because as I'm sure you can imagine in the footy season, it's pretty go.
Yes.
And especially because I'm traveling from Bendigo each session, it takes a bit of time out.
Obviously, as you mentioned, coming from Bendigo, so it'd be at least around 2 hour marks, is that right? And how do you keep up with it every time? What motivates you to kind of keep going at it? Because it is, as you said, a long travel time.
Yeah, so it's a bit over 2 hours. And what motivates me is I think because I just enjoy footy so much. And like I said, I get to go to work and work with those incredible group of girls and coaches and all of that sort of thing. So that's always, it makes it very easy for the drive. But also like my family, they're an incredible support. And, when things have got tough and I've been injured and that sort of stuff and you're sort of struggling with the trip, they've always been the first to jump in the car with me to make sure I get down there or, do whatever they need to do to keep me motivated. So, yeah, I very much owe a lot of it to them.
That's good. So you obviously, again, that's something interesting to know for some people. Obviously, you mentioned with the ACL injuries you had. How did it motivate you again in that side of things to kind of keep going? Because you hear all these stories of people, they get a knee injury or something, a real bad injury, and they just want to give up. What motivates you to keep saying? Because I suppose someone like Dan Menzel in the AFL when he played there and Alex Johnson had like 5 knee recos each and other injuries around that, and they got motivated to keep going. How do you motivate yourself in those times or try to?
Yeah, I think, again, I think it very much has just come down to I know what footy I'm capable of doing, of playing. And I feel like in the 5-6 seasons that I've played for, I haven't got anywhere near that. And so I feel like I owe it to myself to, to keep trying to, get my best footy out of me. And I guess it's very important that like it's you that's a motivator rather than, so I'm trying to prove myself right rather than, trying to prove other people wrong and that sort of thing. And, as athletes, like injuries are all a part of it, aren't they? And like you can't be defined by them. You need to sort of build up the resilience to go again because it's just the reality of the game. And also like, I always think perspective, like a football injury, yeah, it impacts your sport and sport's a huge part of your life and that sort of thing. But really, it's really just a drop in the ocean in comparison to what some people are going through. And so, yeah, very much like you just kind of got to get on with it. And I always say to everyone, footy is the easiest job that I do. So when I'm not playing footy, I'm either working as a critical care nurse or running a business. And so it's the easiest work I'll ever do playing footy. So I just like enjoy it for why I can and try and get the most out of myself in that time. So I guess that's my driving force.
That's good. So now you just mentioned about some offside stuff that you do. So obviously you do was it footy coaching or some footy type of programs? How's that been?
So I mainly do nursing, so I've got a business doing cosmetic injectables, and I also work at the hospital as a critical care nurse. So they're my main things. But I have just started doing some coaching just with a local footy club and just some local girls that are wanting to look to do a little bit extra.
That's good. So, what do you feel is the best individual game you've ever played in that strikes out to you? And what do you feel is the best individual game you've been a part of as well?
Oh, to be honest, that's a tough question. I feel like probably some of my better footy was played in parts of games this year, and whether or not that just come down to, um, playing a game style that was probably more suited to my strengths and things like that, and also being able to be given the opportunity to go through the midfield and that sort of stuff. Because previously, in all my junior footy and my first year at Richmond and that sort of thing, I'd always been a midfielder. So transitioning to like a high forward role, which I'm sure we can all appreciate, can be a bit of a difficult role. It's like a lot of unrewarded running, you're applying pressure, that sort of thing, for, very little reward. So just, developing those skills to be able to play that position has sort of been a bit of a challenge for me. So I feel like this year I got a good balance between, small forward and midfield, which allowed me to sort of play some of my better footy. So I feel like, some of the games this year would be my individual sort of better performances. And then as a team, I feel like you can't go past the Brisbane game in Brisbane. Like I just feel like, we had our backs up against the wall with that game. We hadn't had the start to the season that we were hoping for. And it was basically we had to win that game to keep our season alive. And, you're traveling to Brisbane and you're playing against Brisbane, one of the, strongest teams in the league. I don't think many people would have thought that we would have been able to get away with the win that week. So, that was an incredible experience for all of us.
For sure, just casually beating the Premiers. So that's just makes it even better.
Yeah, exactly. It was a great feeling, that one.
Who do you feel the best player in the competition is? Because obviously it's so even. I know Monconti won it by 7 votes this year, but in reality, I think it's really even. You also got Mon, and you got Laura Gardner, good young player at Sydney. You got Jazz Garner, Ash Riddell. There's so many good players everybody married off. Who would you say is the best player in the competition? Because to me, it's pretty hard to pick. There's no clear standout choice.
No, you're right. It is very even. And I think they all bring different attributes to the game. Like, obviously, I love the way Mon goes about her footy. Like, she's got incredible, like, agility. Her power from the first couple of steps is incredible. She does things, that people just can't do. And so she's very incredible in that sense. But then you've got someone like Jasmine Garner, who is just, like, incredible with her footy skills, her ability to play in the mid and then go forward. She is very difficult to match up against. She's very damaging with the ball, like she generates a lot of forward territory, that sort of thing. So I feel like I rate those two probably the best players in the league. And but like you said, there's so many other great girls, but they just have all different sort of attributes. But I think those two are probably your most difficult players to match up against.
Good choices for sure. Now, I think I know where this answer is going. Backing off a few answers you had before, but who loves the limelight, the attention, the camera, the pies, and just can't get enough of it?
I think Sarah Rowe. Rowie loves it, and also so does Charlotte Taylor. There's a few girls though that we could vote for there.
Now, if you had to pick between Sarah and Charlotte, which one loves it more? Who would you say?
Rowie.
Yeah. Fair enough. Obviously, you mentioned about some other sports before. Did you play any other sports before footy?
So I just did like local netball and local athletics and that sort of thing. They were sort of my main sports, which I definitely think both of them, contribute positively to footy. But like I said, I've been playing footy now for a fair while.
What's something someone does at the club that you cannot stand, whether that's leaving rubbish around, trying to scare people? Because I'm seeing these days at any club that trying to scare people from around the corner or in a bin or whatever seems to be a bit of a trend to some degree. Have you avoided any of that?
Yeah, we don't have a scare cam. We don't have any of that. I'm sure that there's things that girls do that bloody, annoy me, but I'm just trying to think. I don't know off the top of my head.
That's sometimes a good thing. Sometimes if there's either nothing that happens or something that you can't really remember. It's a good thing, I suppose.
Exactly. It's obviously not too traumatizing what they do.
Exactly, because otherwise you definitely remember it. If you could poach any player or players from another club, hypothetically, to join Collingwood, can be as unrealistic as you want, who would you poach and why?
Well, I'm definitely poaching Monteconti and Jasmine Garner. And why? Because they'll win us a premiership off their own bat. And that would be nice. But also, the thing that I love about Jazz is most incredible person. So humble and so likable. And yeah, so she would be a great person to have around your club.
Sure, absolutely. Who do you feel is the toughest opponent you've ever had to match up? In the 28 games you played, who would you say is the toughest opponent you've had to match up on?
I vividly remember playing, and it wasn't as if we were directly playing against one another, but Anne Hatchard, I just remember her being like so strong. Her overhead marking was just incredible. And then her running capacity was, obviously fantastic. So, yeah, she was hard. But like I said, we didn't directly play against each other, but I just remember seeing her and thinking, God, she's having a lot of influence on this game. And we didn't necessarily have anyone to send to her.
Mark or goal of the year, which one would you rather do and why?
Mark or goal of the year? Maybe mark of the year. I'd like to get some hang time. I spend a lot of time on the ground. So it'd be nice to see what it's like, to be up high for a little while.
Yeah, fair enough. Either one is good. Interstate trips, are you a fan of interstate trips?
Yes and no. Interstate trips, they can be quite tiring, but it's obviously a great opportunity to, develop relationships and, strengthen the culture within the club. So it's always great for that sort of thing. But yeah, it takes it out of you a bit, that's for sure.
For sure. Who's some teammates you've been impressed by or players that just kind of fly under the radar that don't get talked about as much that probably should?
I definitely have been impressed with Nell Morris-Dalton. I felt like the change to Pies definitely suited her. And I felt like, she really developed as an athlete this year. And then I guess, at our club, Michaela Can, she's incredible. She's just an absolute workhorse. And, we get to do a lot of stuff because of what she does, in and under in the contests and that sort of thing. So I feel like a lot of our game is generated off, the things that she does that don't necessarily get recognised, they don't necessarily get a stat for. So, yeah, they're probably one of my sort of two main people.
Yeah, that's probably two really good choices. Nell obviously kicked a couple in that last game when the going went tough, I suppose, against Richmond. She was probably one of the only few that kind of stood up in that game while that was happening, that back after the Richmond game. And then obviously Michaela, she said, that's a really good choice too. Flying under the radar too, it's kind of a good thing to keep being consistent and not even really get talked about as much.
Oh, exactly. And it's obviously nice then because opposition, sorry, I'm just walking to get my phone charger. Then opposition aren't necessarily giving you as much attention as well, which means, it allows you to kind of get to do what you want to do while they take care of some other girls that they deem are more damaging.
Absolutely. If you were, this could be an interesting question. If you were stuck on a deserted island with any teammates, who would you want to bring and who would you avoid bringing?
Who would I want to bring? Oh, I'd bring someone like Geordie Allen because she's very intelligent. And again, who would I not bring? Probably someone like Charlotte Taylor because the girl's got no street smarts.
Charlotte and Sarah getting ready, but if it's fair enough, it's absolutely fair enough. Who is the loudest and quietest teammates?
Loudest teammates. Again, I know I keep saying it. Charlotte Taylor. Very loud. And who is the quietest? Oh, you girls like Soph Casey. Very, very quiet. Obviously, disappointing to see Soph won't be playing with us next year. But yeah, she's probably the most quiet at our team.
Now, so defenders, obviously, they don't really get recognised as much as the other positions. So obviously with the midfield, the Brownlow is clearly directed towards midfielders and the Coleman's are clearly directed towards forwards. And even Ruckman or Rucks these days get recognised in the votes this year. So with defenders, do you feel they should have their own official title, whatever you want to call it, should they have their own official title to an award?
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? You always feel sorry for the defenders. The forwards, they get their leading goal kicker, and obviously, like we said, the mids generally will win the Brownlow. So it'd be nice to see them get some recognition, because without them, there'd be a lot of goals scored.
Absolutely. Now, how well do you feel you know your own team? So we've got a quiz for you, 3 questions about your own club. Or players about your own current club. How do you feel you'll go?
Oh, we'll see.
All right. Now, there may be a trick question in there. So I won't explain what it is just yet. Obviously, after it, I'll let you know. So these are the 3 questions. Right. So how it'll work is I'll give you 2 hints, and then you take a guess. If you get that wrong, I'll give you 1 final clue, and then you'll have to get it right. Otherwise, you're wrong. All right. I'll start that now. All right. So this will be interesting. Okay. So they were 3rd in your best and fairest this year, and they played 50+ games.
Sarah.
Perfect. I had a feeling that would be you get that anyway, but she's been mentioned about 10 times, so the memory should be in the memory. Right, so 1 point. That's good. All right, next one. This could be interesting. They love getting their nails painted, and they played for 3 AFLW clubs.
Love getting their nails painted. And they played our club?
Yes, they do. You may know them very, very well.
Well, like, Nell likes to get hers painted, but she's only been at Bulldogs and Collingwood.
Yeah. It's maybe the trick question I was talking about.
Oh, so is that the trick question?
Well, it's a question, but it's not now. No. Right. So the final clue is they love the microphone, and this person's been mentioned before. They may be on this call.
Oh.
All right. So, Grace, who were you guessing? So we just dropped out there.
That's me.
Absolutely, it's you. That's right. Now I can say it now. Generally, everyone stumbles on the question more about themselves than they do about someone else. I generally like to put a question about the person I'm talking to, because they generally get confused about it, and you're almost good, but that's okay. That was your 3rd. You're on the call. Right, so the final one. This one may be interesting. It's probably the hardest one to guess, but you might get it. Okay, so this player is 20 years of age. They kicked 17 goals in their career.
Now, Morris Dalton?
No. All right, the final clue is they've previously, not this year, but previously been a club leading goal kicker.
Kalinda Howard?
No. You're wrong, but I want to be nice and give you 1 more final additional clue, bonus clue. Their jumper number is a single-digit number.
I'm trying to imagine the locker room.
Maybe one of the first few numbers.
How old's Eliza James?
How old is she? I would have to look that up. This may or may not be the answer. 20.
Oh, perfect. Well, surely it's her.
Yes, it is. Eliza James. Yeah. Grace, you got it. That's very good. Now, I really appreciate coming on, Grace. All the best for the upcoming season. Hopefully it's a good year for the Pies, new coach, some new players, and hopefully a new team and a new season, then new results. Appreciate coming on, Grace.
No worries at all. Thanks for having me.